All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye. I also need a motion to approve the minutes from December 5th. I hope you had a chance to go through them.
Make that motion. Second.
Then moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye as well. All right, well, this is an opportunity for the public to comment on any public matter that is not on the agenda of the meeting, but is within the jurisdiction of the Teachers Retirement Board. However, the board may not take action on any issues raised unless it's included on the agenda and public comment has been allowed. If issues are raised that would require board action, the issue would need to be included on the agenda for a future meeting. Public matter does not include disability applications, contested cases, or other adjudicative proceedings. Kim, you are our public. Thank you for coming today. And do we have someone online? No.
Darla is
Oh.
on.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. So we're on to board meeting minutes.
Yes, exciting topic, tab 3. So hopefully you had a chance to read the write-up I did on this. I mean, the short of it is, you know, we are required to have these video minutes anyway. And then obviously we do the written minutes like you just adopted, where a staff member will, you know, they take notes during the meeting, but then they also go back and then rewatch the video and they try to like write a narrative of what was discussed. And of course, they're never going to put every single thing we discuss in there. And then it's a little bit, they use a little bit of discretion, or maybe I do when I, you know, because I look at them and will suggest edits or whatever. The video minutes are 100% accurate. And I think that, you know, the way that Board of Investments does it, where they write, you know, we would still provide a summary that includes, and I can click on this just so you can see it. They still provide a summary of all the, you know, basically who was here, what time the meeting started. But then once you get into more of the minutes of it, you just basically, you document like the main agenda topics and then the time during the video when those topics came up. So like part of the reason we haven't brought this forward sooner is, you know, at least Denise and I both kind of like to have the written minutes. It's really, you know, because you'll find yourself going back to, you know, 1990 to look at board minutes. Well, part of the reason you do it that way too is because there was no video, right? So I think the summary, I mean, this definitely would meet all of our statutory requirements. You record all the motions and the votes, obviously in the summary document, but then really the true meeting minutes would be the video. And in our case, we have it's videoed for audio and video in Zoom itself, as well as we have a backup with the camera on the wall. And I think what we normally post is the video from the camera on the wall because it shows everybody at the whole time, but we use the audio off the Zoom. So that's the proposal, and it's more up to you to discuss and decide if you all agree with that. And if so, we don't need to pass a new policy or do anything like that. We'll just, at the next board meeting, we'll have a different write-up for you to read at the beginning of the meeting about how these, you know, where this meeting is going to be recorded, and this recording will be the official minutes of the meeting. And then at the subsequent meeting, we would have a summary similar to what they do at Board of Investments.
Madam Chair, I think that was the intent of the legislation, that there be a recorded minutes of these board meetings so that if the public did have any questions, they could go through and get the little fine nitty-gritty that we don't have to put in a written minute. And I think that was the whole intent of my legislation.
I love it.
Which Darla and Lexi love it that it's one business day later.
I know, I know.
But we get it done.
Yeah, I know, and it's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Will this save time?
It will.
A lot.
Yeah, Darla was doing the minutes and now Lexi's been doing the minutes. It would save a lot of staff time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, our last couple minute meetings have been relatively short, but it's still, you know, to go write a narrative description of all of our topics takes some time. And then, of course, you want to be really certain what is in there is accurate and that it's in the right light.
What's the state's policy on AI summaries?
On, what's that?
AI summaries?
So for the video minutes themselves, we'll need to have a transcript, and it will be an AI transcript, and we will, you know, we'll put a disclaimer that the transcript of this meeting for people that are, that can't hear, right, was created by AI and may or may not be 100% accurate. But yeah, I mean, that's what EOI is doing with theirs.
Yeah. Okay.
At the school level, sometimes we have technology issues. If for some reason it didn't record, what is our liability? Are we also taking notes, or are we just, hey, sorry, it didn't record,
So
we had the meeting?
yeah, we have a backup in that. This is one system, and that's a completely separate system. So we have two
So
systems.
that one also has audio.
It does, yes. We use this audio just because we're closer to this
Got it.
microphone,
Okay,
but
but we do have a backup.
if we really were in a jam, we could use the audio off the
Okay.
video camera. And then
Okay.
if both for some reason were not to work, then we would have to, you know, create the minutes based on the agenda we had and what we can remember from the discussion.
Okay,
Yep.
I just know that that's happened at the school level.
Absolutely.
Happens everywhere, yeah.
And yeah, I feel a lot better about it knowing we have two. If
Yeah.
it were just one, you know, I could see where that would potentially be a problem.
When my tech director comes to me and says, hey, sorry, didn't record last meeting. Okay.
Did you say there were timestamps?
Yeah, so on this, I'll show you again, on the example that I had for Board of Investments, you see here, a call to order, it has, and it's a timestamp based on the video itself, so it was 5 seconds into the meeting, they called it to order. 20 seconds into the meeting, they did roll call.
Okay,
1:10, they did public comment. Yep, we would follow that same format.
So under statute, there is basically a carve out for a technology failure. And they say, well, you just need to make note that something went wrong and explain, and so that's been thought of.
Okay.
So we're covered there.
but it can't be a recurring problem.
It's only happened 3 times in the last 2 or 3 years.
But we don't need a motion for this. This is just.
No, I don't think, as long as the board's comfortable with us going that route, and actually we would end up potentially we could do this meeting that way. Then you announce at the beginning, it was recorded, and then, you know, you will approve a summary next time instead of 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
So Lexi can go home.
It's Friday off.
Not quite, not quite. So on that, not exactly the same topic, but I did want to mention too that we're going to start recording our closed sessions and saving them off. I mean, they will definitely be 100% cordoned off where no one that shouldn't have access will have access to them. But we're gonna keep those videos. You know, speaking with Jim, he thought that might be a gap that we have in our process where if we were to end up in some kind of litigation and we couldn't provide a recording of those closed sessions, that could be an issue. So that doesn't change anything about how, you know, you guys do your process or anything like that. But just so you're aware, you know, we will pick everyone out of the Zoom meeting. So it's only TRS Board. And if a board member were remote, they would still be able to participate, but we can tell who's in the meeting, and that little section of the meeting will be saved off and it's up under the medical files for closed board meetings. We'll just keep those going forward for all meetings. And we have done some where we've known they were going to come and present their case where we were recommending denial of their claim. We have recorded some of those and we saved them off similarly, but I think it's just easier. I mean, so there's no mistakes and no less liability for us if we just make sure we always keep that recording of the closed sessions.
Okay. Any other comments or?
Good job.
I'm thinking about that for my own district.
Oh,
Not- Yeah, we currently do not record our closed session meetings, and then board chair just takes the notes and has a file cabinet.
And I think that's acceptable too, but the notes have to be kept, pretty well.
Yeah.
And since we're doing video minutes for everything else, it makes sense. And we
As
have,
long as you can keep it secure.
we can, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Anything else on this? Public comment, Kim? All right. Then we're on to administrative business.
Well, that's really blown up, so
The investment report?
It's so small, I can't see it.
No, yeah,
I don't-
really need your
I
light.
will blow it up a little.
I don't-
It's in your, so it's in your package.
Yeah, yeah.
Behind Tab forward.
Small there.
You ready for me to start?
I'm ready for you.
All right, so, in our most recent meeting, we had several administrative things. We went through the first look at the audits, and I guess I'd just reiterate that it's a well-run organization. Almost never have any audit exceptions. Anything that there is that's just a suggestion, we fix it right away. So everything's looking good from that standpoint. We've spent a fair bit of time on special projects that they keep tasking us with. My only concern as a member of this board is let's not get distracted away from managing the investments, because that's the most important thing we do. But I think we have the capacity to keep helping with some of these things. So not worried yet, but I think we did as a board say, hey, can you just let them know that we would rather they didn't give us all these things to do. We want to work on the investments.
Who is they and them?
I think it's the legislature and the governor's office, and it's things like the new mental health facility that's going to be built in Laurel. We're sort of in charge of that, and it's because we do such a great job that they ask us to help with things like that, especially real estate related things. But I think we would all be more comfortable if we just worked on the investments primarily and maybe didn't work on other things that take up time. But again, I think we have the capacity. Dan's really organized, and I think it's fine for now, but in the long run, we hope that some of those things go somewhere else.
Will those be short-term
They are,
things?
yes, all of them are just getting the project done, and
Okay.
then, yeah.
Not ongoing?
No, unless they keep giving us more.
Well, we'll have to watch that.
But it hasn't impacted returns, and our chief investment officer is not involved in those sorts of things at all. And so he still has the focus, and as does our investment staff. So again, not worried, just hoping that some of those things at least slow down or go away entirely. Year to date, still up, I think. We had a weird week. Volatility is definitely up a little bit. We're kind of gravitating between two schools of thought that AI is overblown and they're spending way too much money. We saw Microsoft come out with results that beat expectations, and still they were down 15% within a day because they spent a lot on CapEx for AI research and data centers and such. But then the next week, Anthropic came out with something that could create software quickly. And so all the software companies went down. Same thing this week with financial services companies. One of the AI companies came out with a tax planning tool. And so all the brokerage firms went down. And so either it's going to change the world and every other type of business is in trouble, or they're spending too much on it and it's overblown and it's not going to be that productive. And some of the productivity numbers we've seen on AI, what we think is happening is when companies first implement it, it takes a while for it to work. And so we actually see productivity go down. But then it seems like after it's been implemented a while, productivity goes up, but we haven't seen as much of the up yet. So it's really interesting. And that's still what's sort of driving markets right now. We have seen things broaden out a little bit away from tech. Certainly, tech is down year to date, mostly because of the software companies, but overall, probably we're just working through some things. Most of the economic numbers still look really good. And so, you know, we don't think it's the end of the bull market. And that is, it's the largest subsection of our equity or of our holdings is in US equity, but we have a lot of other things too. So overall, still feeling pretty positive. Any questions?
Thank you, Dan. Nolan, it's your turn. Thank you for the wonderful book in the mail. I thought I was getting a present.
Members of the board, thanks. Yeah, so the wonderful book is our annual report, 2025. This is as of June 30th, 2025, of course, our fiscal year end. Obviously don't expect anyone in the room to read it cover to cover, but some of the stuff at the beginning is obviously as board members get to, like the letter, Sean's letter to the board and the members and other interested parties. Obviously I prepare this, so with Sean, he obviously reviews it and all. And then right after that, you'll see the audit opinion, which again, this year we had an unmodified opinion, no findings, no recommendations. So that's always good news. That means you can rely on all of the numbers and information in the report. And then of course, the management discussion and analysis is good to look at. And then the meat of it is going to be the net position and the changes in net position on pages 16 and 17. And pretty much all the notes and required supplemental information that follow that are in reference to these 2 pages, so those are probably, if you're gonna just do a quick breeze through, those would be the things to focus on. So but again, no recommendations. We got a unmodified opinion, so that's always good news. Any questions about anything on the annual report?
It's always good news when another set of eyes is looking at us and saying thumbs up.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I'll move on to, I guess it's in your packet at page 23, and that's the financials as of December 31st. So, the annual report, we had a net position about $5.42 billion. And then you'll see on page 23 there, our net position currently is around 5.58 billion. So, obviously headed in the right direction. Our total revenue is up even a little bit more than it was last year. Very similar numbers compared to December 31st of 2024. And then our expenses, as we pay benefits, those will always continue to increase. So our expenses are up a little bit, but our revenue over expenses is still about $5 million ish, right in there, $5 million more than it was at this point last year, and it's sitting at 164 million, so that's good. On page 24 is the balance sheet. If there's any questions, jump in anytime. So you'll see, similar information here on this page. Our total investments, are up by that, right around the 100. That's obviously the main driver of everything. So up by 150 to 200 million in that range as of December 31st, which drives our whole total assets. There's not really anything on our other assets to mention. I mean, we are, continue to amortize our building, our rent on the building. I guess it's called an intangible right to use the building, and then our leasehold improvements. And then our total liabilities is kind of similar. We don't have a heck of a lot of liabilities. We obviously have our net pension liability for our participation in in the public employees retirement. But the rest of those are pretty standard.
When I'm looking at page 24,
Sure.
I'm looking at that cash number and I see that it's down $800,000. Is that just because we put it somewhere else?
Yeah, so the way the cash flow is managed, obviously we have to have enough cash to pay our
Yep.
general expenses, but aside from that, we're receiving contributions from school districts every day.
Mhm.
And so I'm purchasing STIP with those funds. So we purchase those short-term investments with BOI, and then they convert our STIP into, CAP or other investment, basically CAP.
Okay.
And so that consolidated pension or asset pension pool CAP, that's where most of our, cash, of course, ends up. Eventually, they do keep you can see that in the investments, the short-term investment pool, that's STIP. They keep it's been pretty consistent lately, and Dan could probably speak to this too, but around 50 to 60 million in that short term, because that can be like sold today, anytime, and it's a very liquid asset. So, and then anything that goes above and beyond that 50 million range, or that they try to keep our STIP at, then they're purchasing with STIP, they're purchasing CAP, to get better returns in the CAP pool. So, so as far as, I guess, the cash that we have on these balance sheets, it's more like a timing thing. If we happen to have negative, it's because I purchased, or
Yeah.
if we have, a huge surplus in cash, it's because I haven't purchased on that very particular day, so.
Got it.
But it would happen like the very next day. So we try to keep our cash as close to zero actually as possible, or, above zero, but like less than $1 million, or in that range. So.
That's a lot.
Just a little bit of money.
Somewhere between 0 and $1 million.
And then, I mean, just so the board, we are receiving, I mean, I would say on average around 500 to $1.5 million a day in contributions, in that general range. Obviously, there are days where it's really low, and then there's some days where like Billings and maybe Missoula reported at the same time, and those would be like $5 or $6 million on that day, that we would be receiving in contributions. So that'd be a big STIP purchase, right away. So.
Got it.
So yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers the balance sheet, unless anyone has any other questions. You can kind of see our investment revenue and administrative expenses by type on page 25, which, just kind of breaks down. It's mostly going to be the appreciation, or when applicable, depreciation of our investments. Lately, it's been all appreciation, which is good. And then, I think when BOI does make some changes and try to, maybe sell high or buy low, that's where you see in the security gains and / losses, and it's all been, also gains lately. So those numbers look really good, and they're actually very similar as of December 31st, 2024, but everything's positive. And then our administrative expenses, kind of by type there, which I'll dive into a little more they're kind of broken down a little better here on the operating budget on page 26. And unless there's any questions about any of the financial statements, we're looking at, we typically in the year somewhere between 150 to 250,000, in a budget surplus, and that's kind of where we're headed again this year. We do have a surplus in the personal service. We had some open positions. Right now, we don't have any open positions, but that's where we always budget for like a full staff all year, which doesn't always happen, of course. And then operating expenses at like projecting it at about 99, that, about $100,000 in surplus, but that, I think that's gonna be a little tighter this year than typically, so yeah, I would anticipate anywhere from 150 to $250,000 surplus, but we're, in no danger of coming to you with any budget amendments at this point, so.
Good news.
And then the page 27 and 28 are just kind of additional information. We got our contracted services, which is our major budget category, or as far as operating expenses go. And you can see we're 50% through the fiscal year 2026, and we've spent about 43% of our contracted services budget. We are seeing, we haven't done any major additional changes on M-Trust, which we always budget for, special projects that we would be upgrading M-Trust, and we haven't seen a lot of expenses there, and then we haven't seen any expenses on our legal fees, and so that's kind of driving the main surplus in that category.
I have a question on that previous page 26, where most of these are at around 50%. 40 to 50% of the budget being spent. I noticed that repairs and maintenance are twice that amount.
Yeah.
What's there?
So that is our software maintenance mainly.
Right.
So yeah, it's actually or billed through ITSD. There's several software maintenance things. So we pay those, and they're if we happen to overspend in that particular category and we misbudgeted, we're definitely have other areas that we are not gonna need any more money, so.
So if this is December 30th and we're going till June 30th, can we expect that amount to double?
No, not necessarily. I mean, chances are we have paid the software license,
Right.
already this year, and it's like an annual fee. So it's, it like I said, we'll likely overspend that particular category, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna we're gonna double the expenditure by any means yet. We've probably already spent, and I'd have to look at the particulars, but we probably have already spent some of our biggest, software maintenance contracts. We've already, paid those invoices, so.
So we pay those at the beginning, pretty much the first half of a fiscal?
Yeah, it just kind of depends on when the contract was signed, and so and when the next year is due, so, but it looks like most of ours, must have been due in the first half of the fiscal year, so.
Thank you.
Looking forward budget wise, that's probably gonna have to be looked at for increasing and.
And we'll definitely here in April, I start preparing the budget justification for the next year, for fiscal year 27, and we would definitely, I'll be talking with John about, hey, where are these contracts at, and are they gonna be increasing for the upcoming year?
Where is that going?
Yeah, we have that all, and you'll see that as, once our next board meeting, right? We'll do the budget justifications, yeah.
May meeting, yep.
Yeah.
So some of those maintenance agreements, they went up more than we anticipated, but they're paid for and they're at least covered for the next year. It's not gonna overrun a terrible amount.
Yeah, like I said, the main thing overall, our surplus is still in the 150. I mean, I'm projecting 250,000, but even if we eat into that by 100,000, we're gonna still have a surplus of 150,000. So.
Thank you.
And that's really it. I mean, unless anybody has any other questions, we do have one delinquent school that I've been dealing with. They have actually got their October and November in, but now they're late on their December, and we're, so I've been,
Is it
emailing.
the same school?
Yeah, same school that you're seeing there, so. But it's not a terrible amount of contributions, but there's seems to always be someone we're dealing with, so.
Yeah,
Thank you.
historically, that school was pretty good. right?
Oh, yeah,
They-
yeah,
they-
it's
but
been
they have
lately.
A new
Yeah.
person, or is it?
You know, I don't know if there's,
Yeah,
it
Kim says
sounded,
yes.
They say, yeah, they're nodding heads in the audience.
yeah. I'm not sure exactly, but I think they had some issues too, or according, this is all hearsay, but they had some issues with their computer system being down and yeah, like, I don't know if they're upgrading the software, changing over, so.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Nolan. We appreciate everything you do and good job again on the no recommendations. All right. Next thing is the Personnel Committee report. Elliot and I met this morning with Jim and Sean to go over Sean's performance appraisal. We're gonna take just a quick minute to kind of go through where Sean rates and actually just praise him again. We had a very good turnout with the staff this time. Over 17 people filled it out, all the board members, and so we feel like we had a really good, view of what's going on. So strategic plan implementation is the first objective that we look at, and Sean scored between outstanding and exceptional. Everybody, I think the strategic plan is a kind of a cornerstone of what we do as a board. And it kind of allows Sean to then direct what's going on everywhere else. So he does outstanding there.
We want to go through all of these.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, networking and outreach was the next one. We spent some time talking about attending mass meetings, getting the information out. One of the maybe new expectations moving forward would be to attend MCEL, getting this information to board members, and hopefully getting that information to them would allow districts to start talking about recruitment and retention and the benefit of TRS for employees. So getting that information out to them. And then in a humorous comment, possibly getting him in a helicopter so that he can.
Somebody wrote that. One of the board members.
Maybe we could borrow the governor's airplane.
Did he get a new one? I don't know if I want to ride on
Oh,
that.
maybe not.
Next one is supervision and performance management, and this was very high as well. We feel Sean and the entire staff does an excellent job. And the employee comments and the board comments were really positive overall.
Yeah, then one of his highest ratings was in regards to the legislature, and everybody made a similar comment about having positive relationships with legislators. And I think that's really important when a legislator is getting in and needing to make a vote. Who are they going to call? Somebody that they have a relationship with, and they have that with Sean, or we feel that they have that with Sean. And so really a great person to advocate for TRS based on the relationships that he's created at the legislative level.
Yeah. And the next part of his evaluation is competencies, and there's a lot of things here. I'll cover the leadership. He appraises himself. There's a staff rating and there's a board rating, and we usually take the middle between the staff and the board. Sean always rates himself a little lower, and we have an average. So all of these again are above a 4, well above a 4.5 even. So we're very impressed with his leadership.
The next one is communication, and again, all very positive reviews on his level of communication, both with staff and with the board, making sure that we're well informed and able to make decisions for TRS.
Same thing, research and analysis, he gets us what we need. He knows where to go, he knows who to contact, he's key player in a lot of even nationally, so.
Research and analysis, he does all the work behind the scenes that is necessary. Oh, sorry, planning and vision. Getting everything that he needs as far as develops thoughtful, well organized, and plans everything out, effective at doing all those things. Again, really a positive review.
Working relationships, Sean has brought with him relationships, continue to create relationships, and just, knowing who is really positive here.
Innovation, this was a little bit of a challenging one because I don't think we want to be too innovative, and I think that came through in some of the comments. We don't want to be on the cutting edge of all of these things. We want to maintain what we're currently doing. With that said, Director Graham has also gone out and attended national conferences, learned all of those things that are being done. And so when there are opportunities for us to do something new, we're able to move forward with those things. So again, really positive review.
Commitment. Again, here, this says strive to satisfy the customer, responsive to their needs, has customer service focused, is flexible, adapts well to change and necessary change. I also feel like his commitment to us, this is his 13th year. Thank him for all of that, just staying with us and leading the ship.
And then the last one is actually his lowest rating, which is safety, which is an odd one because we feel like it's a very safe place, but we just don't have any information to really judge it. And so I think we're going to remove it from the evaluation process moving forward. Still receive a 4.
Yeah.
But a lot of the comments revolve around just not having a lot of evidence. One board member did make a comment in regards to maybe a mold issue that we had a long time in the past and him handling that particular situation, but again, still a good review.
It
Is it on red?
must have been. Well, I mean, we moved into this building, so I mean,
Yeah.
we did remodel building,
It wasn't-
but there was this.
I wouldn't know where it is.
Ever mold.
Mold, it was
There was
asbestos.
asbestos in this,
Yeah,
in the ceiling and
Yeah.
the floor tiles.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, so
we did, it's definitely an improvement over where we were.
It is. Everybody was kind of
Yeah.
crammed in.
still a positive review. Safe.
I would say on the national level, if any of you ever go to any of the conferences, people know Sean. They say, "Oh, you're from Montana. Oh yeah, Sean Graham's your director." Yes, and they always have something nice to say, and I think that reflects on us as a board too.
Well, thank you for everything you do. And we always discuss like, what else could we be working on, or what, if there was one other part, are there any areas in which you'd like to see Sean more involved? Would you recommend he take a different approach? None of us had any ideas there because we really feel like he does everything we ask and more. And it's not our job to put more on his plate. Just keep doing the best that you're doing. So
Yeah.
Everything was great and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Maybe we should ditch some of those reviews and not have to pay so much.
Well, we did talk a little bit about how, I mean, the service the gym does provide on that, and it's not free by any means, but it
No.
is very useful. I think it would be very difficult for, if you pick 2 board members to try to coordinate and do all this and gather the information. I mean, it's probably well worth having him.
I
do it.
agree.
He was doing it for my predecessor, and we've continued to keep that relationship with gyms, and I think he does a good job. I mean, you two can speak to it better than I can of how well he worked with him, but it is a good service he provides.
It really is.
It is.
Yeah, I find it valuable.
You could probably do it better than I could, but you supervise and do it. We wouldn't want to. We have other jobs, so.
I'm happy to continue to
Yeah.
so that we can continue to
Yes.
utilize this service.
It is a 7-page appraisal.
Yeah, it is long.
Well, you
Well,
lost it.
Then it just blanked out on me halfway through.
Oh,
And I go, hey, I lost it.
oh, no.
And but when I came back to it, it was in the same spot. So it was good.
Okay,
Thank heavens.
I want to retype all that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next thing we have on the administrative business is the tentative meeting dates. May 8th, we needed that to be set in stone because that is when our actuaries will be coming. So make sure that that is on your calendar. I will be out of town for graduation, but I will jump in on Zoom that day, but we can all, does that work for everyone? And then looking ahead, August 7th, I mean, these can always be adjusted a little bit, but just to put them on your calendar so that we don't have to adjust. Hopefully, August 7th, October 2nd, which is also an important date because of actuaries, and then December 4th, just ahead of time.
And I guess just so you know, we'll probably schedule the experience study first thing, so right after
Okay.
public comment. So at least at the beginning at least.
All right.
Good.
Okay, and then, so just another opportunity for public comment, which there is none, I don't, unless it's online and only. Okay. All right, now we have a couple action items. We have some out-of-state travel. John going to a PRISM annual conference in May, Tammy GFOA conference in June, Jim going to a Napa legal conference in June, and Sean, the NCTR director meeting in June. So we need to, I need to have a motion to approve the out-of-state travel.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the out-of-state travel, because I think this is the way we keep up to date and know what else is going on in the country.
Elliot made a good comment to earlier today. He said, just knowing how important those things are. He's been on the board for 3 years and hasn't been able to attend yet. And the power of being there really is awesome. I mean,
yeah.
I will tell you, like I told him today, and I probably say this every time, but the summer conference is really good for board members. And this year it's in Berkeley.
It's in Berkeley, yeah.
And I don't know where the hotel will be, but the last time it was an amazing hotel. And you get to actually study on Berkeley campus. I told him I wrote on my resume, I studied at Berkeley and I studied at Harvard. Nobody cares because I'm not looking for a job, but anyway, and I really don't have a resume, but you feel really cool. And then of course, the NCTR meeting, Dee and I just attended that and it is outstanding. Like the people that are there, like I sat at a table with investment bankers on Wall Street, and it was just like, this guy was so interesting to talk to, it's just, I'm this 5th grade teacher and I'm learning so much. And we were talking about crypto and it was like, he was just dying and had so many comments and I was like, I love this. And it's just really fun. So if you get the opportunity to go, I really suggest it. So that was just another thing that came out of that.
Some of those webinars from NCTR too are really, really good. I was in on a long one last week that talked about things internationally, looking at the world as a whole and how we react to it, investment wise. Did you?
I was there.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was most interesting.
It's like a global economic forum. Yeah. The general was interesting, his take on the world. Yeah.
I never knew, and this was a little thing that I never knew. I didn't realize that at one time we had 13 bases in Greenland, and now we have 1. That was from a general just speaking about it. I thought, the history of it.
Right.
Do you have a second? Oh.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
I
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Okay. All right, next meeting date then, May 8th. Yep, this is some information item. And now we're on to Sean's executive director's report.
Right, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. So that should be behind tab 5 in your printed binder, and I have it up on the screen here. So the first thing I have here for you is the staffing update, and then Darla Fitzpatrick unfortunately announced her plans to retire from TRS effective May 1st. She's been with TRS for about 12 years, and 3 of those were as a contracted technical writer on the initial phases of Entrust, and then obviously she's done some great work for us. And so I know Darla's on the line. It might be a good idea for the chair to ask her if she wants to say any parting words, because actually when you have your next meeting, Darla will officially be retired from TRS.
We would love to hear from you, Darla, if you have anything to say.
Sure, I hope you can hear me. You guys can hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. I had some laptop issues yesterday, so I wanted to make sure. I had to switch. I was on my work laptop and the VPN kept dropping me, so I quickly switched to my personal laptop. Wanted to make sure. Yeah, I think, as you all just heard, I was here for 3 years on the M-Trust project, and I have to say that was like an intensive immersion program, educational program with TRS. I think it may not seem obvious from the outside, but if you think about hiring someone from the general public, very few people know anything about defined benefit pensions. And most people don't know much about TRS. So when they come in, I think it's difficult as a communication manager. I mean, you might be a good writer, but you have a long learning curve. And I think that's partly why I'm actually the fourth communication manager. I don't know if some of you, Carrie and others, remember. I never met the first one, but I worked with the second and third communication managers, Emma and Karen. And the longest tenure of those three was 2.5 years. And I think I'm sure they left for their own personal reasons, but I think it's difficult to just walk in and be able to hit the ground running and handle some of the things that you need to handle. So I am very, very thankful that I had that opportunity to work for 3 years with everybody in that intensive review of all TRS business processes as we work to document and build M-Trust. So originally I had planned to stay, I was hoping to stay 5 years so I could be vested. But when you work with such highly competent people and nice people, I mean, you just talked about how good Sean is, and I was impressed from the minute I met him when I first interviewed in late 2013. I think it was around Christmas time, so he was new at the time. But Jane Fournier was the project manager, some of you remember, and I knew that she was the project manager and I had worked with her before. So that's what drew me to TRS in the beginning. It's just been a wonderful experience. Actually, I had tentatively planned in my head I was going to retire at the end of last fiscal year. But right at the time I had made that decision, the previous communications specialist gave her notice. She took another position in the private sector. So that changed my equation a little bit. I wanted to be back to the comments I made before. It's difficult for someone to just walk in. So I knew we would be hiring someone. And so I wanted to give myself at least a year to help bring that person up on the various things that we handle on the communications team. So I can see Lexi in the background on the owl there. I think she's doing a great job of picking things up and learning how these all go. And just being able to write a summary of minutes for this board meeting, that's one thing that will just make things a lot easier. So I appreciate your support of that idea. And I appreciate your support of everything I've done here. It's just been amazing to work under great leadership, amazing dedicated coworkers, and a very supportive board. So thank you all, and I will let you get back to your meeting.
Thank you, Darla. Truly, it's been an honor to work with you. So we appreciate you.
We're not going to accept your retirement, by the way.
I know people upstairs. No, she has been great. She's done a lot of great things, and actually you'll get a chance to demo the responsive website that Darla spent a considerable amount of time in the last year getting built, and it's fully operational, and you'll get to see how that works, and she'll show you the difference between what it looks like on a computer and versus an iPhone. She can use the emulator to do that. So yeah, we're going to be sad to see her go. She's done a lot of great work for us.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So moving on to the operations update, I have started my rounds even without a helicopter. I was able to make it to Great Falls, and it was last week. And the funny thing about that meeting is I got in the car after the meeting at 2:30, and it was 72 degrees is what the thermometer on the car said. It was crazy. But the meeting went well. So the what is that? The North Central Mass, and I would say the Four Rivers Mass or no, not Fort Ridge, the Western Mass, the one in Missoula. Those two are typically the highest attended, and this one was really well attended. I think there were 25 superintendents in the room that day, which is great. When you start going out, like, sometimes the one Northeast Mass is kind of rotates between Sydney, Wolf Point. I've been to Fort Peck. Depending on the weather and kind of what's going on, because sometimes they can hit during like basketball divisionals, those kinds of things. I mean, I've been to some of those where you only have 6 to 8, and then there's I've also been out there and they have 20. So it just depends, but I think it's a really valuable exercise for me to go through. Part of the material I'm going over with them this this round is about retirement incentives and settlement agreements, because both of those can have big financial impacts to obviously the individual that's either terminating and retiring, or if they have a severance agreement to get rid of someone. If those payments qualify as term pay, then the district's obligation can be more than double what they think it is. So it's super important that they understand that. And part of the whole education piece of it is look, when you have a draft, send it to me before you sign the dotted line. And I think that got through. It always gets through really well.
Just a quick comment on that. I unfortunately was not able to attend the meeting. I had some other things going on that particular day. But I did hear from North Central superintendents afterwards, thought it was really valuable, especially that aspect of, hey, these retirement incentives and how they can affect the school district. So I thought it was really valuable information that a lot of superintendents didn't know. And so I think it will translate into positive outcomes in the long run.
Yeah, great. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, and the nice thing about that group, and I'm looking forward to doing MSO, but that is a small group and they're all pretty comfortable with one another because you guys, they meet monthly, so that they're not afraid to ask questions versus sometimes in a larger format where you have, say, 100 people in the room. Sometimes people aren't quite as willing to ask questions. So I think they're valuable meetings. So that went well. I'm looking forward to continuing those. I have the dates and the where I will be when I'm up in the Kalispell area. Once I know which I kind of already do. If any of the board members that are up there, so Dee and Dan Chamberlain, if you would like to attend, I can get you that information.
I'll meet you.
Oh, and Carrie, yeah, for sure. And then next is the legislative interim committee update. Since our last meeting, Jim actually presented the results of our evaluation to the Legislative Finance Committee on December 18th. I was on vacation that week. That went well. They didn't have very many questions. It's all, as you know, the results were fine. We didn't drop any years off, but things are looking really good going forward. So I expect we will. I don't anticipate there is no pension study committee this interim. So the next time that I'll likely be presenting to the legislature will be the results of our experience study to both SAVA and the LFC. And other than that, Nolan and I will have a legislative audit committee meeting. I think it will either be April 9th or 10th. But as he told you earlier today, we had an unmodified opinion with no recommendations. So that should be pretty smooth sailing.
Yep.
And that is the executive director's report.
Thank you. Another opportunity for public comment. All right. Now it is that time where we get to see this new responsive website. I have yet to try it on my phone. I don't know if it's up and going, Darla, but I'm always on.
I had 58 beers hitting the tablets when she told me it was live, so I know it works. So do they.
Good. It's good to hear. All right.
All right, Darla, can you hear us? There she goes.
Oh, there we go.
She's still moving.
Okay, I had to get the sharing going and then unmute myself, so hopefully you can hear me. First, I'm just going to show you kind of a side-by-side of, hopefully you can see that this is the new site that I'm showing. Let's see. I thought I had, bear with me just a second here. I'm going to go to the Wayback Machine. and show you what the old site looked like, just so everyone is clear on why we had to make this change. And thankfully, the Wayback Machine, the archive had saved a snapshot of our website 3 days before the new site was launched. So this is going to pull up. So this is what it used to look like. And just a quick demo, as you can see, you know, as the screen gets smaller, nothing happens. It just gets tinier and tinier. So originally the plan to make the website responsive, which we started talking about in maybe late 2022 or early 2023, was so that if we start rolling out more online services, for example, an online retirement application, it could it would be useful if you were on a mobile device or a tablet or something. So that was the original thought. And it also has built-in accessibility. And that, of course, became much more important in 2024 when the federal rulemaking was rolled out that the accessibility rules were now going to apply to government websites. So that's what the old one looked like. Of course, this is the new one. I'm going to pull up the emulator. I'm going to show you the emulator in a bit. First, I'll just kind of review the structure of it. And this is built, all state websites now have to be built and managed on this platform called Cascade CMS. And the analogy that I can give you is that when I was a kid in the 70s and we had Legos, I think Legos are a lot fancier now, but at the time, you bought a box of Legos, there was a platform with pegs and some blocks. And so you could build whatever you wanted as long as it was on that platform and using those blocks. So it's very much how Cascade CMS works. It's a platform that allows different agencies, and it's common in public university systems. Each campus can have its own website, but it's still sort of governed by this overall template. So the dark blue header at the top and the footer at the bottom, these are all things that have to be there. They're state requirement, so we have no control over that. You have to have a contact page and staff directory. That's in statute. And then the center section is what we can modify, of course. This is, of course, the home page. We have 6 tiles here. We have this news section, these rotating elements. And then we have your standard menus. And as you can see, you don't have to click any of these. It's really easy to navigate. You can just click on this main one, which then shows you the very same options that were in the menu. And then to get into, the other things, you just click again. So there's basically what I'm demonstrating there is there's 3 levels. This home page is the primary level. These top level menu pages, which really don't do anything except give you a link to this is a secondary page, and these are what's called tertiary pages. We're limited, and back to the Lego metaphor, we're limited in that every time we add a page that has content on it, which has to be a tertiary page, it builds another menu option. So we need to be very careful about what additional content we add. The one exception to that is these news items. We can actually build, like here's Lexi's page that she built about security upgrade coming. This is actually not part of these upper menus. It's sort of separate news items that we don't have to bucket under one of those headings. So that is a little bit of a limitation. We can't just add, more content. What it did is it made us, it forced us to put out there just the basics, just the facts. Less is more. So the more content we add, the messier those menus get. So that is sort of a self-limiting thing. And it's actually been a good thing for us. You probably remember, some of you remember, Lexi's predecessor was given the task of designing this website, and she had fleshed out a lot of the content in a very draft form. But again, back to what I said earlier about it's hard for someone who's coming in off the street. Basically, they don't really know much about TRS. So she had tried to rewrite some of the content and simplify it, and there was nothing wrong with her doing that. But some of it was not organized in a way that, like there was some member content under the employer heading and things like that. So when she had given her notice, and then we knew the launch date was coming up in the summer or fall, and so I spent a lot of time rewriting a lot of that content and reorganizing things and trimming back some of the things we have under each menu and cleaning up graphics, and it just was a lot of kind of somewhat tedious work at times. And it's kind of a tool where Lexi was also new, so it wasn't something that I could just, assign her, you redo the employer section, because she didn't really have any context for that. And on top of that, SITSD was under the hood of Cascade CMS, making sure that all the elements, all the Lego blocks, so to speak, all meet accessibility requirements. So as one of the changes, just as we're looking at the homepage here, is this banner, Montana Teachers Retirement System. You'll see there's a white shadow behind it, and that was done so that it had adequate contrast to meet the requirements for someone who's vision impaired. And all the colors, this doesn't seem like a very dark green, but you can see that the contrast between the white and green is nice and sharp, and that there's tools that evaluate that, and we had to reach a certain kind of criterion to be able to launch the website and know that it was meeting those requirements. So that's kind of why the task of building it took so much time. It was fun, but it was a lot of work. I'm going to now get into the emulator that Sean mentioned. So this is just the web dev tools, and you can see what it would look like. And as you can see, that it just reorients. A responsive website simply reorients all those tiles and elements on the page in a particular order. So this is all programmed in the background that the header will shrink, that will become 2 lines. These will line up side by side. The menu collapses into what's called a hamburger menu. And you can use this emulator to look at like what would it look like on an iPad Pro. You can see that carousel, we call it, is down here below, but otherwise it looks pretty much the same. Now a Galaxy Z Fold phone is really small, so that's really tiny. But it's just a big improvement, I guess, if you're comparing the old to the new and you're going to be trying to fill something out online. This was an absolutely necessary project to undertake. And then on top of that, with the new accessibility rules, now we know that, these buttons are, the font is all large enough, it has enough contrast and so forth. So that's basically a quick overview of what we did. And unless anyone has any questions, I can stop sharing.
I just pulled it up on my phone. It is amazing.
Yeah,
That's
Great
pretty
job.
cool.
And
Right.
I would just, Madam Chair, I would just have one comment. We also made the benefit recipients, by TRS for benefit recipients responsive, and it's available. And I don't know if you've actually, Dee, went out and have used or have an online account, but it's as responsive as well. We're also working on the active member of my TRS, making it responsive and accessible, and hopefully we rolling that out before April 1st. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we likely will have a demo on both of those too. We'll get some dummy data in there
Yeah.
and do that in
Yeah.
May. Yep.
Right. Thank you. All right, so appreciate that public comment again. Hey, forget you over there. Legal counsels. Well, it isn't time for a break. Dee was wondering if we could kind of skip over the break if we
Or we
needed to
can
get
just
up,
go
or just
whenever.
go faster.
I'm fine.
It doesn't.
Do
We have no one.
No one's coming in
No one's
person?
coming.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
We're
good.
good.
How is everybody? I know yours.
I would just I'm good continuing, but I am going to. stay
Yes,
back.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And help yourself, like, we're all adults here. If you need to grab something, we can all do that.
Phones are called.
Um,
Interesting. I'm sure I'd take that.
I'll do it what?
An adult.
Adult.
That's funny. So we take, are we taking
It's
5
5
minutes?
minutes.
Information.
5
Oh, thank you,
minutes?
thank you.
5 minutes?
5 minutes, that's good.
Just hang up my wife's.
All
We don't need her confirming anything.
right, let's call the meeting back to order. We're on to the legal counsel's report.
All right, well, we'll keep it on schedule. Madam Chair, members of the board, this is Jim Alizia, Chief Legal Counsel, and we have no pending legal issues at this time.
Great news. But you are also doing the board policy for us about privacy and security, personal information revision. So we'll
Yes.
keep with you.
All right, so it's the time of year that we typically do the training on the personal information and cybersecurity policy. And upon review of that, we realized that it did not directly align with the guidance provided by Risk Management and Court Defense, the division that's in charge of really the subject matter experts on this topic for the state. And really with this policy, the first part, nothing dramatic changes in the first part. We have the title and some new definitions. And the key distinction that our risk management tort defense makes is the difference between a breach and an incident. And the basic difference in that definition is an incident is when we think there might be a problem, where a breach is when it's been properly evaluated by risk management tort defense, law enforcement, if necessary, to say, okay, what do we have to do to mitigate this? And we've updated the definitions to reflect that, as well as the title. Then we also slightly adjusted the definition of personal information just to capture personally identifiable information, or PII, which is often the vernacular used. If we jump to page 4, you'll see the bigger changes that were made to reflect the risk management tort defense guidance. That would be page 43. Yep.
Yeah.
And rather than walk through the exact language there, really our old policy reflected an approach where we would evaluate everything internally and say, here's the problem, who do we have to notify? Ultimately, as risk management tort defense is the subject matter expert on this, we should be deferring to their expertise. We don't want to be raising alarm bells when it turns out there shouldn't be. That doesn't help anyone, but it could also impede an investigation and collection of data where we need to get everything lined up or get their assistance in getting everything lined up to bring law enforcement on or contact our insurers. And there are important steps that need to take place that they are working with on a regular basis. We are not. So under our duty of prudence, we should be showing deference to their knowledge. And of course, we need to keep our finger on the pulse of everything, but want the best people on the job if a situation arises. And that's what's captured in part B here. If you have any specific questions, glad to answer them. But ultimately, we thought it made sense to revise the policy before doing the training, and we would move forward with that in May with your approval at that time.
Okay.
Well, it's been a lot of years, huh?
With the,
2012 to.
oh, yes, yes. And I believe there may have been edits, but as far as, yeah, the last, since it was at least created.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have had a few edits to it, I believe, but
2020 looks like that was the last.
Yeah.
edit.
yeah. If you all remember, we've had Brett Dahl come and do the risk management towards cybersecurity insurance presentation for you. And our policy, you know, the changes that Jim outlined really in section B on page 43 and 44, our policy didn't align very well with what what we're actually required to follow, which is, once we're, think that there's a problem, our first step needs to be notify them. Otherwise, we risk potentially not like screwing up our own cyber insurance coverage. And they really will, we'll be involved, but I mean, in all honesty, once they take over, we're gonna be kind of, maybe a little bit in the back seat, but that's the way that it has to be. And hopefully, not on, we never actually need it, but.
Yeah. And do you have any questions as far as the changes you've seen or concerns?
Also another opportunity for public comment. Okay, and then we're on to Tammy.
Yes, ma'am.
Applications.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, we had 28 members retire in the months of November through December 31st. Average age of a little over 62 years of age, and with a average term pay of about almost $8,000 and average monthly benefit of a little over $1,200. The average service of almost 15 years.
Why are some of these dated like 2021 and 2011? What does that mean?
They're probably retro.
Retros, yeah.
So they actually, their benefit will be payable back to 7/1/2024, but they didn't submit their application and get processed until.
Oh, okay.
So they can be term vested and,
Gotcha.
just waited till however long.
Thank you.
You bet.
Could even be all the way back to 2011.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They can go retro back early to age 50 if they're tier 1. And so if it's in their best interest to do that, they may very well do that.
Mhm.
Or wait till the first of the month of their 60th birthday and apply. So
They get a lump sum to catch them up.
they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they get kind of hit hard on that first tax withholding, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then long-range planning, so that's back to our strategic plan, and we just we're not very far into it, so let Sean kind of tell us where we're at.
All right, Madam Chair, members of the board, so I have it up on the screen, but it's also behind tab 10 in your packet. Any updates are in red font, so that first one there is conduct a periodic tax qualification review, and we want to do that every 5 years. And so the update on that is the 2025 Montana Code Annotated finally became available online. Was it 2 weeks ago? So right after the 1st of February. So with that, we did reach out to Ice Miller, and we've kicked off their compliance review, so they'll look at all of our plan terms, which essentially is our state laws and our administrative rules, and make sure that they comply with the federal IRC, the Internal Revenue Code. And if anything that they think may be a problem, they'll write up a report and they'll send it to us, and we'll have a conference with them to, to sort of flesh them out a little bit better. And then potentially the results of this could end up driving us to bring some housekeeping legislation if necessary to make sure that our plan terms do align with those federal standards. So that is underway. We kicked it off last week, I believe, right?
Yep.
Sent the email to Ice Miller. And so we'll share the results of that with you once we have it, but they're just in the initial phases of it.
History question. So we used to be able to get a private letter ruling from the IRS every so often. How long ago did that stop and we switched to this?
So this is the second time we've done this approach, so that would make it, well, it wasn't quite 10 full years because it's been 5 since the last time we did it, but I think it was only about 3 or 4 before.
Okay.
I want to say that shortly after I got here, we got our last cycle. I think it was cycle C filing, and I think that was in 2014. It was right around 2014, 2015.
Okay.
And then, some period of time went by, and then we thought, well, it's in our best interest to go ahead and have some kind of review done. You can still ask for a private letter ruling, but usually it's on a real specific topic, and instead of like the entire plan terms.
Okay.
Would you, I mean, that's basic kind of, so let's say the legislature passed a provision that we had real concerns about whether or not, you know, it was legal from the IRS perspective, we would ask for a private letter ruling on that specific type. Yep. All right, I'll just kind of go over the ones that are updates, if you don't mind. And
Yeah.
so you all just saw one of the things on here was to, you know, roll out that modernized website, and the website itself is fully responsive at this time. And as Tammy mentioned, the benefit recipient portal is fully responsive, and the active portal is very well developed at this point. It's just not quite released to production, but will be, you know, in the next couple of months. As far as updates go, so, you know, we have on here, maintain best practices and system security, and look for more robust identity verification. We are working with ID.me, who is a security provider for the IRS uses them, Social Security Administration uses them, a lot of other state retirement systems use them. John and Alfred and Rex have been working with them. They have the APIs built. They're working. We just need to do some more testing and update on, I was going to tell you this at the beginning of the meeting and I kind of forgot. Usually John would be sitting where Lexi is, but he had a procedure on his hip on Monday that was planned, but he's out for a couple weeks. So this project would very likely be a little bit further ahead, as with the My TRS portal. But you know, John's going to be out for a couple weeks, and things will get top right back up where they need to be. But we are looking to roll out ID.me in 2 phases. First phase would be any brand new members that do not have an online account. They don't have to necessarily be a new member. They could be a member for 10 years, but if they've never set up an online account, if they My TRS account, they'll have to come through ID.me. People that have an existing My TRS account for some period of time, at least until all the tax documents have been shared, and we're confident that they have what they need to file their taxes, we'll transition them from the old login to the new login. But we're probably still at least a month away from being able to do that, I would say.
If we have ID.me for something else, we can still use that?
Yes, so your ID.me, if you personally have an ID.me
I
account,
do.
it will work across, and you only should ever have one. It'll work
Right.
across
Every
multiple.
platform.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of intense. I mean, they interviewed us, right?
Yeah, the thing I would say about ID.me, you know, we have 2-factor authentication currently, which is, you know, you log in, it'll send you a text to your phone and you have to enter a code. But at account creation, we don't have near the level of security that ID.me does. They really make sure that the person that at least initially sets up that account is who they claim to be, or we really don't have any way to do that.
Yeah,
So it'll be
I mean, you call and, I mean, they're looking at your face and they're saying, okay, show me your driver's license and do this and do that. I mean, you have some hoops to jump through.
Yeah, it is free though to the user, so it doesn't cost you anything other than a little bit of time to do it. And once you're set up with an ID.me account, it's pretty seamless. I mean, it sounds like you've used it to log in.
We do through Steve's VA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, the next update, we've already talked about the mass attendance. Don't need to probably go back over that. Our 2025 survey was completed in the fall. I believe we shared the results of that with you at the last board meeting. And then the newsletter, you know, one of our items here was transition the newsletter to an electronic only format. And so we did, you all would have likely received, we had our final Horizons newsletter went out a couple weeks ago. The news carousel that Darla showed you on the website will be our primary way that we'll communicate, you know, sort of newsworthy things to our members outside of anything that actually would have an impact on the member, certainly financially. Let's say, you know, the legislature passed a bill to, you know, either increase member contributions or do something to decrease existing benefits. We would send targeted mailings to all of those individuals. So anything that actually has a direct impact to a member, we're not going to try to communicate. We would have always sent a direct communication anyway, as well as put it in the newsletter. So the newsletter, is done at this point, at least in the old printed form. We've had a little bit of feedback on that, about half of the, and when I say a little bit, literally less than 10 emails or calls. About half of them are, glad that we're saving the system money. And about half of them are really disappointed that they're not going to get the paper copy. But again, the 10 out of, almost 50,000 potential comments is not very many. So there wasn't a lot of feedback on it.
Somebody was really, really heartbroken. We could print them off a copy.
Yeah.
Well, but we're not gonna, so part of it is we're not gonna continue to create like a big newsletter like that. It's gonna be more
Just chunked.
and on that carousel.
Okay.
So it'll be more timely. So if there's something that comes up that's important right now.
Oh, so it's not just gonna be 4 times.
Yeah,
Or what?
exactly.
Okay, all
It'll be
right.
in real time.
Yeah, that's
it'll
Because
good.
when I get a newsletter, I get 3 of them.
Now I get it.
I get mine, my wife's and my daughter's.
Yeah.
So.
Can they subscribe to updates on that so that they get an email, or is it, they just have to go to the website every day and see what happens?
Well, yeah, we don't currently have any subscription for that. And I don't, nor necessarily the functionality. I mean, maybe we would be able to do that relatively easy, but yeah, I mean, the thought wasn't to continue to build a full newsletter. It would just be to use that carousel. And then obviously, like I said, anything that had any kind of direct impact, we're gonna do a targeted mailing to all the individuals that would apply to.
I would imagine the website platform allows for notification sign up in some way, but I don't know if we want to go down that road or not. But
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does. We have the ability for them to click if they want to stay abreast of TRS administrative rules. I mean, we're using it for that now. So, I mean, it's possible we could do that every time we update the carousel. An email goes out to, a group of people that have signed up to get those notifications. Yeah, that's possible. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Sean. It's another opportunity for public comment. But now we do have a closed meeting for our disability application. Okay, I need a motion on the disability request for Lori Elwell.
Move approval?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. The second one, I need a motion on the disability request for Kevin Schooler.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Oh,
I
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Motion passes. I need one final motion. Oh, well, there's no public comment. But I'll offer it public and then I just need a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
second.
Motion seconded. All those in favor?
Bye.
Very yummy.